My name is Andra Bucci. My sister Tati and I, we are two of the youngest Holocaust survivors from Italy.
So everywhere she goes, she takes the rocks. And then now that she lives in America, she brings them from where she lives.
I saw a stone I take, not only in Sacramento, in San Francisco, in everywhere.
That's why I do it. I don't know if that's why my mom does it, but when we went to my grandmother's grave, that's what we did. We had the stones and we did it because we wanted part of us now to be there with her.
You've done so many of these memory trips.
I think almost 40.
40 trips.
Yeah.
That's a lot of students.
Yes.
Why is it so important to do them? They're not easy.
Perché è giusto che anche se tardi, cioè tardi dopo tanti anni, perché è giusto sapere. Me lo ricordano quasi tutti i prigionieri, i sopravvissuti, e il freddo, il grande freddo.
It wasn't such a huge leap of the imagination for Italians to also join in and participate in the persecution of Jews.
It was sophisticated and planned and industrialized.
How did children survive?
I don't know. Maybe I was more strong.
We become the witnesses.
C'è tanta roba, sei fatta proprio.
You know, when you're here with me, you're doing it with me. But when I'm gone, then you're doing it for me.
Seeing it in real life is much more impactful than just studying it in the books. So I really wanted to come here and experience it for myself.
Oh my God, every time she tells her story, there's new things. There's something you've never heard before.
Whether you were at Auschwitz or another camp, you became a number, you became a thing.
Il mio numero è 76483.
Your mother seemed to know why they would put a tattoo on you and refer to you by number, and she told you something very important about your own name. What is it she told you?
Yes, always remember your name.
So we just wait for that to come back.
Hi.
Yeah, we applied at the beginning of August, and then she had her test
In December 9.
by December 9. She was nervous for that one too.
This vacation really. Without.
Oh, I'm super excited. So
It's super. Oh yes. I sleep very poco.
Little.
Little.
She didn't sleep last night.
sleep this night because I was very excited.
She's complaining her picture.
It's like
a prisoner.
She looks like an inmate picture.
It's terrible. It's terrible picture. I don't think I am a normal person, I think.
She thinks
No
she's
special.
a normal person and not special.
I am not special.
A lot of people would disagree with that, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe, I don't know, but for me, everything is normal.
Go ahead and throw this on you. We can put it right here. Since you have a sweater, I don't have to.
Yeah.
Andra and her sister Tatiana have dedicated their lives to sharing their story in Auschwitz.
Dominic, win this year, Jade. Jade, yay! I'm glad you're
Anytime you can have someone that was there who's experienced it, speaking about their experience is always going to have more power than a book or a movie, always.
Ecco, non hanno dato importanza. Adesso, man mano che ormai praticamente non c'è più nessuno, e ci sono soltanto tanti Dio praticamente, che un po' ci muoviamo, ti cerca.
This is Ms. Andra Bucci. She is a Holocaust survivor. She's going to tell us her story through her daughter Tatiana.
I knew about my mom's story forever. Of course, like Sonia, we knew it because, you know, they have the number on the arm you ask.
Ciao a tutti.
I've always been interested in the Holocaust, definitely during school, because we never really had much time to go over that lesson. That lesson was always maybe a day, an afternoon, an hour, maybe just a reading about it. And I always wanted to go more into it. My name is Joshua Edwards, and I did my high school senior project on the life of a Holocaust survivor. She was in the Holocaust when she was 4 years old with her sister, who was 6 years old. And they survived the Holocaust only because they were believed to be twins. So this is a book by Andra and Tatiana Bucci. Always Remember Your Name, a true story of family and survival in Auschwitz. Ours is a long story, and it begins far away. Our parents met under a clock tower in Fiume, the way young people did in those days, and as perhaps they still do today.
Allora, è nata prima logicamente mia sorella, è nata 19 settembre del 1937 e io sono nata 1 luglio del 1939 a Fiume. Tati.
This one is 1940.
All of these are before.
These all are before, yes. Yeah, these are all before.
0 hour strikes. The first shots of the New World War are fired at Westerplatte. Daily, Berlin's blitzkrieg spreads death and destruction from the skies.
Von ein ausschließlicher politisches Soldatentum dieser Partei.
You know, our real challenge is to carry these stories forward and inspire students to make the stories their own, carrying these stories of the survivors onto their children and grandchildren. When the war begins on September 1st, 1939, and they quickly march into Poland, very soon they put restrictions on Jews.
What we do know, right, is that in this first stage of the war that we have been speaking about, there was no policy of ethnic cleansing. My name is Shira Klein. This is my 12th year at Chapman University. I'm chair of the history department. And so the idea being that sort of if you could go back in time and change one little thing, it would probably have a very big effect, right?
L'Italia fascista oramai è tale compagine, quasi bene organizzata in tutte le sue forme che non si può spezzare.
There are some misconceptions about Italian Jews. There are a bunch of them, but probably the most common one was that Italian Jews were treated really well in Italy, and more generally that Italy is seen as sort of this oxymoron, like a bit of a paradox.
E ricordatevi, in ogni momento.
Mussolini had come to power in 1922, and Italy was a dictatorship, and so any executive decision was by the fascist regime, and this was no different. Mussolini had racial theorists who put together these laws. Some of them were inspired by the German race laws, because Germany had passed its Nuremberg laws in 1935, 3 years earlier.
Papà era marittimo, navigava per la compagnia dell'Oio Triestino, che era la sede era a Trieste, ed era sempre via. Papà è stato in fondo arrestato proprio all'inizio della guerra, quindi non lo ricordo fisicamente, ma ricordo la fotografia che la mamma ci faceva salutare tutte le sere, prima di andare a letto ci faceva dare il bacio, perché aveva capito che altrimenti avremmo potuto dimenticare l'aspetto di papà.
Aunt Gisella, who that summer had come to Fiume with our cousin Sergio, decided not to return to Naples. since her husband wasn't there anyway. So we became a single nuclear family without the two sailors, our father and uncle, who were imprisoned far away.
The Nazis will send the SS Einsatzgruppen, the mobile killing squads, into the Ukraine and other areas. It's one bullet per person is, not efficient. And you've got your killers not wanting to get up in the morning and go kill more people. And the best way to do that, the most efficient, the least upsetting for the killers, is to use either carbon monoxide, or then in Auschwitz, they will come up with the idea of using something they already have used in the camps as a pesticide, because Zyklon B was in use as a pesticide in a lot of different places, that they can do that in a way that is very efficient.
One night, the fascists and the German came to get them. It was night, it was dark, and there was a lot of noise. They knocked the door, they came in. My family was scared. Just imagine, she was 4 years old. How would you feel at 4 years old if somebody comes shouting in your house?
E ci ha vestito senza dirci probabilmente niente. Io non penso che sapessero dove si andava.
They take us to the rice mill, the big rice husking factory built in the late 19th century in the Trieste neighborhood of San Saba. Certainly the 8 of us are all together, and we stayed together in the cell that is assigned to us.
As soon as Germans came into Italy in September 43, they started to round up Jews in every major city and load them onto freight cars and send them northwards to Auschwitz.
Auschwitz, the symbol of Hitler-like rule. Here the Germans had set up an immense experimental laboratory of fascism, a factory of death.
Sì, tutte le immagini.
We organize every year the travel for the memory, or Viaggio della Memoria in Italian, means to travel for the memory.
You've done so many of these memory trips.
Oh sì, in Auschwitz-Birkenau, yes. I think almost 40.
So is this dressing for Italy right here, or is this everything?
No, this is only, this is for all. Italy and Poland.
This is what my mother does. She puts everything in little baggies because she says that when you press the bags, then the luggage takes less room in the luggage.
Forse nonne un po' non hanno mai dato importanza alla memoria dei bambini. Per quello che riguarda Tati e me, hanno sempre considerato, anche gli storici, la memoria dei bambini non memoria.
Listening to somebody telling them their story is not only you hear them speaking or whatever, but it's emotional, because you feel their emotion, you feel the anger, the fear, the sadness, you feel all of it.
40 trips.
Yeah.
That's a lot of students.
Yes.
Why is it so important to do them? They're not easy.
Perché è giusto sapere quello che è successo.
They're impressive. Dinner at 8, ready in the lobby at 6. Buongiorno.
Buongiorno, buon pomeriggio. We do 2 kisses here.
How are you?
all the trips start in Rome. Everybody meets in Rome usually?
No, this one, yes. Then the one in Tuscany starts in Florida.
So every year, more than almost 20 years that we have been organizing this kind of travelings.
So tell us who's here.
So this is my aunt, Tatiana.
Tatiana.
Hello.
Victor.
Nice to meet you.
And Dave.
And the purpose is to bring the students as an agreement between the Union of Jewish Communities in Italy with the Ministry of Education, and to bring them directly to the places where the horrifying events of the Shoah happened.
The Jewish ghetto is a very vibrant,
Yes,
beautiful place. People love to
Yeah,
visit here.
yes.
Why do people like to come to the ghetto here?
Because it's full of life, true life. There is the real life of Rome. It's the character of the Roman people. Not so easy to destroy our Jewish community in Rome, and in Italy also.
She has a lot of memories and a lot of ideas, and it's all mixing together.
Yeah.
So she's excited about you guys being here. She couldn't relax. I suppose you have another shoes for Birkenau.
Boots, yes.
Oh, okay.
He'll need warm things, won't he? Yes, I know.
They normally check in all together, right? Like a big group. But I don't know if what they're doing now. That's when their diva comes into place.
Tell us a little bit about the diva.
When they do these trips, they transform into this little diva, this diva thing that it's all about them. So they have the center of the thing. So they have certain expectation. They have to sit in the front of the bus. They have to be the first one in and out of the bus. They have to be the first one be sitting at the restaurant, be served. It's like this small little silly stuff that they have to do. It's funny.
What is the impact of having Andra and Tatiana leading these tours?
Hearing their story, they were very, very little by then. They were 4 and 6. And it's very, 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 very rare that someone can survive, because children were used for experiments. So they are the exception that survived somehow.
It takes a while before they decide not only are they going to mark them, they're going to move them into designated areas of the big cities, especially big ones initially like Warsaw.
And so the first day you got to go you went to the Krakow ghetto?
Yeah, we went today.
And what were your thoughts as you walked through the ghetto?
It's very different picturing, as I said before, things in books and then walking along those streets in real life, imagining that people just like us experienced those lives before. You kind of feel the snow and the cold, and you try to rank it up like 40 times more. It's really it really hits you.
What is it like to see the Bucci sisters in person? You have studied stories like theirs. Yes. What is it like to actually see them?
It's kind of strange because at this time we didn't even imagine that we will live, I think, like they live.
E quando ho detto che ci siamo incontrati ad aprile,
it really hits you. It really feels like people actually did it. People actually experienced it. It really was bad. They really faced the consequences. It's not like a story with a good ending. They don't all survive.
One morning was Saturday morning, 16 October 1943. The Nazi closed all the doors, all the street, all around, and they went in every home, in the homes, and they took all the Jews.
Our arrival is mostly noise. It's April 4th, 1944. The train stops outside the camp we're being taken to, which we later found out is Birkenau, the giant death factory in the concentration camp system of Auschwitz.
Even though we study the Holocaust a lot and our schools really put a lot of importance on it,
Se non ci fosse stata...
seeing it in real life is much more impactful than just studying it in the books. So I really wanted to come here and experience it for myself.
What do you think about tomorrow? What are your thoughts?
Well, I think it's going to be a very emotional experience. I don't really know how most of us will react to it emotionally because maybe it won't even hit us like immediately, and then reflecting back onto it later through the day, it's going to settle in more in our brains.
Io so che eravamo in tanti, che non c'era neanche lo spazio per poter stare seduti tutti quanti. Quello che un altro ricordo molto, molto triste è che non c'era niente per un bagno.
Venivano coperti, nascosti dalle donne che davano un po' di privacy alle persone con la coperta, quello ricordo.
There are cries of fear as well, because dogs are barking and growling, because orders are given in German and almost no one understands them. There's tremendous confusion and a ghostly scene of chaos.
At Sobibor, Treblinka, there was no selection. At least when you arrived at Auschwitz, you had a chance, right? If you did look like you could work, you might be spared.
How were you dressed, the two girls?
Siccome mamma era sarta e comunque aveva il pallino proprio di vestirci sempre uguali, avevamo gli stessi vestiti, lo stesso cappotto, lo stesso cappellino, mia sorella ed io, ma non ricordo il vestito assolutamente. Anche la nonna, che all'epoca aveva poco più di 60 anni, ma viene messa, lì c'è la prima selezione, viene messa subito, io mi ricordo dalla parte sinistra con una zia che si chiamava Sonia.
This moment of complete horror and unpredictability, one had a sense to try to look stronger and younger.
E senz'altro, perlomeno nella prima selezione, essere scambiate per gemelle ci ha salvato, perché chi arrivava bambino ad Auschwitz-Birkenau, pochi sono rimasti in vita. Sono soltanto 2 anni di differenza fra mia sorella e me, non sono tanti. E quindi ha messo in difficoltà probabilmente Mengele, cioè in difficoltà. Per lui era una cosa positiva trovare gemelli, visto che poi li sperimentava.
Where would Andra have arrived? The train tracks didn't arrive here yet when she arrived, so the train tracks are about 2 kilometers that way.
E c'è questo lungo percorso, è lunghissimo, e la mamma ci tiene sempre una vicina, una a destra e una a sinistra, e finalmente arriviamo in questo caseggiato che è di mattoni e che viene chiamato sauna, dove chi entrava in campo doveva fare un certo percorso.
Our barrack is near the entrance of the camp. We enter, and our immediate impression is that it's huge. It's rectangular in shape, like the ones that we can still be seen today at Birkenau.
Perché quando siamo arrivati nella nostra baracca avevamo i letti a castello, ed erano proprio 2 letti, ognuno aveva il suo lettino, uno sotto e uno sopra, e a me fu dato quello sopra e mia sorella quello sotto. Ma dalla prima notte a Birkenau ho cominciato a fare la pipì a letto e il materasso era fatto di paglia e quindi la pipì è andata tutta giù su mia sorella e il giorno dopo mi hanno cambiato di letto. Io sono andata sotto e mia sorella è andata sopra e così ho incominciato la mia vita è stata, senz'altro è stato il trauma, anche la paura, forse la separazione dalla mamma, è stato tutto senz'altro un insieme di cose in così poco tempo che ti succede a un bambino che non riesce a capire il perché. This is not my area. My area was another place, and we have not the barrack because my barrack was in the wood, not come si chiama, brick.
Not brick. Right. And it was destroyed.
Yeah. Me lo ricordano quasi tutti i prigionieri, i sopravvissuti, e il freddo, il grande freddo.
You just walk through, I guess, the gates of hell, somebody can say, I don't know, but it's just so different, heavy, and to me even gets colder.
She's always cold. 100 degrees outside and she has her sweater on. The cold is being sucked into her. I don't think that the cold will ever get out of her bones.
Si vedeva la ciminiera della cremazione dei morti e quindi in questa ciminiera il fumo e le fiamme, soprattutto le fiamme uscivano, c'era sempre questo pulviscolo, c'era un odore di fumo, di bruciato, di carne bruciata, ma c'era proprio il terreno che era duro, perché non era marrone di terra, era grigio dall'alto.
What were days like for the very few children at Auschwitz?
E abbiamo sempre giocato. Si giocava anche, mi ricordo, si correva intorno io le chiamo le piramidi, questi cadaveri bianchissimi che erano sempre fuori alle baracche e noi correvamo intorno a questi, una cosa terribile a pensare oggi.
Which is the building that last night she was talking about, where she got
The number.
disinfected and where she got her number tattooed.
L'hanno fatto perché ti chiamavano per numero, anche l'appello, tutto per numero, non ti chiamavano, perdevi la tua, era un modo per perdere l'identità.
Whether you were at Auschwitz or another camp, you became a number, you became a thing.
Il mio numero è 76483.
Your mother seemed to know why they would put a tattoo on you and refer to you by number, and she told you something very important about your own name. What is it she told you?
Yes, always remember your name. Lei ha capito, penso che l'abbia capito subito, il fatto del numero, ti toglievano l'identità, come bambino potevi dimenticarti di tuo nome. Lo dimentichi, sembra una cosa strana, ma se nessuno ti chiama lo dimentichi. E ha fatto, quando veniva a trovarci la mamma, che adesso non ricordo se veniva tutte le sere, ma certamente ci ricordava sempre i nostri nomi. A mia sorella diceva: tu ti chiami Liliana Bucci, a casa si chiamava Tatiana. La mamma mi ha detto: ricorda che ti chiami Andra.
One day your mother stopped visiting. What did you think?
E il fatto che non venisse più non ha creato in mia sorella e me un grande dolore, un grande dispiacere. La natura fa in modo che tu cresca e diventi forte, e quindi abbiamo accettato con grande facilità la mancanza delle visite della mamma.
So this is my great-grandfather's cooking book that he got to help him learn how to cook as a prisoner of war. So my senior project, originally I wanted to do a cooking video or cooking lesson or something like that. My name is Joshua Edwards and I'm Andra Bucci's grandson. I kind of wanted to be in her shoes, understand what she had gone through. So what I wanted to do was kind of live a week in her life as a Holocaust survivor. And then the biggest part was that my grandmother was my Glakova.
The Glakova took a liking to you and your sister? How did you know that?
Ma io ho sempre pensato che potremmo averle ricordato qualcuno della famiglia, o qualche nipote, o addirittura forse le sue figlie. E come l'abbiamo capito? Perché ci dava delle cose diverse che agli altri non dava. Ad esempio ci dava qualcosa da mangiare di diverso, qualcosa da vestire di più caldo. E mia sorella in particolare ricorda una maglietta d'angora che neanche quando eravamo a casa l'aveva mai avuta, così bella. Quindi da queste cose qui un bambino capisce. Quindi era come una nostra tutrice, insomma una compagna adulta.
But you saw some Glakovas do some pretty awful things. And I remember when we were at the camp, you talked about bricks.
Lei era gentile con noi, carina con noi, ma cattiva con le sue prigioniere.
The ground had little gravels, and that's where the Glakova made put women in punishment. They would have to kneel, and they would have to hold a brick on each end and kneel as long as the Glakova wanted to.
And your cousin Sergio was with you in this barracks too.
C'era anche lui, sì, eravamo soltanto noi tre italiani e non c'erano altri bambini italiani, solo noi tre.
There was a time where the Glakova told him, tomorrow they're going to ask you if you want to go see your mom. You have to say no. Don't tell anybody what I told you. If you guys remember, I told you Sergio was their cousin, who was 6 years old, was in the barracks with them. So they told him, this is what's going to happen tomorrow, you need to say no.
Ci furono i bambini che si fecero avanti, e tra i quali anche Sergio. Forse Sergio non ci ha ascoltato. I 20 bambini sono partiti proprio il giorno 29 novembre del 44, il giorno del compleanno di Sergio.
The Red Army has saved lives of millions of concentration camp inmates.
Improvvisamente le cose cambiano e cambia la gente che cammina per il campo, che gira per il campo. Ci sono dei militari, cambia il colore delle divise, i militari ci parlano, ci sorridono, e quello che prima se incrociavi un nazista non lo faceva. In particolare ricordo proprio questo militare russo che era seduto sul cofano della sua macchina e aveva sulle ginocchia una piccola tavoletta di legno che tagliava il salame. Noi bambini.
For 5 years, Europe was a vast prison. Yet nothing equaled the atrocities of Auschwitz, Auschwitz concentration camp.
light of a candle and showed laying down on the floor.
How do you select the students who will be a part of this experience?
So this special project is how we study the Shoah through a project of art.
Like this is mine.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, it was like the part of the book of Primo Levi, you know. And my part was when they were in the wagon, you know, and like it was night, so one of the refugees like lit up again a candle. It really stirs you up on the inside, and you don't really even know what you're feeling right then and there. But yeah, it's something that I'll probably always remember.
What was it like interacting with them where they had been at Washington?
It was always so interesting to hear their stories. I kind of felt like crying a bit because it really is hurtful to know all they went through.
I think we're at an interesting juncture in terms of where we get our knowledge from and what weight we attribute to it. On the one hand, I tend to be very optimistic about knowledge, and including historical knowledge, but just sort of how informed people are, because knowledge has been democratized like never before.
The Holocaust is not what happened. Let's look at the facts of that. And Hitler has a lot of redeeming qualities.
I don't believe in the 6 million number. I don't believe in the gas chambers thing.
It's when work isn't peer-reviewed that we start getting distortions. And unfortunately, again, with AI, those distortions sort of blow out of proportion because they are forked in so many different places. So I think it's not so much the source that worries me, it's whether people have the capacity to question those sources.
L'acqua è per te, mamma.
Addirittura 2.
I teach 7th and 8th, and I've taught 8th grade for the last 10 years here.
Her father was Italian and he was a sailor. My grandmother was a seamstress.
In Italy, they teach specifically the Holocaust. Do you think we do enough?
I don't think we teach history enough, whether it's a genocide or not, or thinking about our actions critically. We just don't.
Technically, again, it's not in our state standards, so it's not something we're required to teach, but we add it in as part of what we teach.
Quelli che entravano in campo.
To know that this person stood in front of Dr. Joseph Mengele, and at any time he could have said, off to the crematorium. It's chilling, it's special. It changes it because this is someone who is part of history, and they survived that history.
So these students are all 12, 13 years old?
Yes, 13 years old, 13, 14 years old.
At this age, what is your goal in Holocaust education? What do you want them to learn?
To socialize, we want the respect they learn to respect each other and the adults, of course, and to know what the real life is around them. It's not only the reality they see on the social.
What is it like to have the children stare so intently at you as you're talking?
She appreciates that they're quiet and listen. She appreciates the question because they mean they listen and they want to know more.
You can tell that they're listening, can't you?
Why don't you pretend to not be a Jew?
Before this all happened, all Jews had to register. So everybody that was going to the synagogue
had to register. So they knew them. They knew their name. They knew who they were.
Do you think the conditions that she experienced in the camps had lasting effects on her body?
Absolutely, yes. Not so much of the body, but her food. She will not eat certain food. She eats the portion of a bird. I mean, her relationship with food is really bad.
Volevo chiedere la vostra opinione riguardo al conflitto israelo-palestinese. Grazie.
Vabbè, no, guarda, è una cosa molto difficile dirti quello che sta succedendo. Per quello che riguarda me, e l'ho detto già prima, tutti i bambini che muoiono anche a Gaza mi fanno soffrire, perché secondo me tutti i bambini del mondo hanno il diritto di diventare poi degli adulti.
It should be recognized that in Germany, very serious attention is paid to the story of Nazism.
Scoprirete abbastanza presto che non avete ricordi.
Greater attention is paid there than in Italy, where, with a few exceptions, it's concentrated mainly in the week of Holocaust Remembrance Day.
Quelli che pronunciò all'indomani.
Sono le dinamiche storiche per capire il motivo per cui si sono prodotte.
Eravamo dalla parte sbagliata.
So my mom just asked him the same thing that she asked him the year before, that Italy needs to admit that they were on the wrong side. And she's hoping that before she dies, Italy would apologize to her and tell them we were on the wrong side.
You've talked about some of the myths that are associated with Italy's role with World War II in the treatment of the Jewish people in Italy. One of the myths is the good Italian. What is the good Italian?
It has different variations, but in one variation, it's that Italians never really wanted the war. They never really wanted any racism, and it was Germany who dragged Italy into it.
German
leaders have apologized.
They did it. Italian people know. I don't know. I don't know, because they think the Italian people is the good people, but they are good or not good, like everybody in the world.
And historians like me who have looked at the persecution of Jews in Italy and have shown just how brutal it was. So it's a myth. It doesn't stand up to scrutiny, but it does exist.
Do you think you will ever get the apology?
I hope, but it's very difficult to, I don't know.
When he was saying Italy still hasn't apologized, do you think it's our duty to right the wrongs that were sort of made in the past, or at least learn from them? And
Oh my gosh, $1 million question. The quick answer is yes. Is it our duty? Absolutely, it's our duty to speak up about what has gone wrong. It's hard because then you're taking away part of history. Like, should Jefferson be, seen as a great president, or because he had slaves? And, do we give him grace because that was the times? Do we give people grace because the Holocaust was part of the times? No. So who decides?
Solenni, come avevo appena detto, appunto, mi ricordo.
See, that's where it started. It ended for some people, but it started for some people, right?
You brought rocks from Sacramento.
Yeah, for the park, Sacramento River. Every corner when I go to walk, I saw a stone I take. Not only in Sacramento, in San Francisco, in everywhere.
We all do it. We all do it. Even my son Joshua, if he sees a pretty stone, we'll pick it up and put it in a Ziploc bag so when next time we go to Europe, we have it. Sometimes when she goes to Auschwitz, she brings her stone from here and puts them in Auschwitz too.
Because of the Jewish tradition, when you go in the cemetery, you put in the tomba the stone. This is lasci, leave your present, your visit. And the stone non si consuma.
They don't disappear like flowers, they don't die, they stay there. Going there to me was closing the circle and bringing, the stones from here is bringing a little part of me there to be with whoever is there.
Among the 2,819 liberated Auschwitz inmates, there were 180 children. 52 of them were under 8 years of age. How could they survive this hell?
How did children survive?
I don't know. I don't know why. Maybe I was more lucky than others. Maybe I was more strong and lucky. I have the star for the protection.
The plan of the camp, the situation plan of the crematoria. From 10 to 12,000 bodies were burnt daily in the 5 crematoria.
There was a lot of damage done toward the end of the war just in panic on the Nazis' part too, right?
Absolutely, and trying to burn, for one hand they were meticulous record keepers, and then on the other hand they tried to destroy as much as they could.
Masses of fare were packed in bags. 20 kilos, 22 kilos. The bandits tore out dentures from corpses' mouths to get hold of gold teeth.
Dopo ci hanno portato a Praga, in questo centro di raccolta, che era come un orfanotrofio, dove c'erano bambini di tutte le età, grandi e piccoli, e da dove poi abbiamo cominciato ad andare a scuola.
It's the first time that they felt safe there.
She doesn't remember the languages anymore, but she has a little song that she learned while she was in the orphanage.
Kira kishashon, ozo kishiram, che sanem faro chagono shikam. Ishme tulia mamma, figlia papà, figlia José che sto. E poi un giorno ci chiedono chi di noi è ebreo. Non abbiamo avuto in quel caso paura di rispondere. Era successo che in Inghilterra, in un paese che si chiama Lingfield, che è nel Surrey, c'era Anna Freud, la figlia di Sigmund Freud, che aveva fondato un centro di raccolta per bambini ebrei sopravvissuti ai campi di sterminio e nascosti.
In Lingfield, we began to live again. There we finally recovered our childhood, which had been lost and stolen. It was wonderful, an indelible memory. One of those memories that stays with you, make you nostalgic, but are also very comforting.
I think it saved my mom's life. Going there is what gave her some stability and gave her time to get back into society, right? So the way they wash them, the way they have people, care about them.
Non avevo mai visto tanti giocattoli neanche prima quando eravamo a casa. E la direttrice Alice Goldberger, che evidentemente lei era psichiatra infantile, ha capito che quello era importante, il gioco. Per i bambini il gioco è importantissimo, se manca il gioco manca tutto. Era come tornare a casa, perché era talmente organizzato tutto che non mancava niente.
After all this time, she can tell that Lingfield was happiness, and it's still happiness.
Non eri un numero più. La mamma dopo un po' non l'abbiamo più vista e li abbiamo considerati morti. E, logicamente tutti ci hanno creduto.
In September of 1946, Alice Goldberg called you to her office to tell you something.
Dear Alice, thank you very much for the photos of the Bucci children. They will be passed on to their parents. I enclose herewith a photo which ought to be given to the children. Sincerely, A.M. Lagner, Jewish Refugees Committee.
E questa fotografia raffigura la mamma e il papà il giorno del matrimonio e ci chiede: li conoscete queste persone? E noi diciamo subito sì, questa è mamma e papà. Era successo perché quando siamo arrivati a Linfield ci hanno chiesto la nostra storia, di raccontare la nostra storia, e noi abbiamo detto che i nostri genitori erano morti, perché papà non lo vedevamo più, per fortuna non sono morti, e quando sono tornati a casa hanno cominciato a cercarsi. Anche zia Gis è tornata a casa, anche lei ha cominciato a cercare Sergio, quindi cercavano tutti e tre. E hanno scritto un po' dappertutto finché trovano l'indirizzo in un giornale dove c'è l'indirizzo di Praga.
Dear Miss Alice, I am writing a few words to thank you for all your kindness. Your dear letter comforts me a great deal. I am really still in pain because I don't know when I will have the pleasure to see my dear daughters. Yours sincerely, Mira Bucci.
That trip back to Italy, what do you remember about that?
Il tordo è stato bellissimo, veramente un viaggio un po' lungo, perché comunque le ferrovie erano state bombardate, quindi sì, è arrivato un bel viaggio lungo in treno.
Is that the train station to the right there, of you and your sister?
Yes, this is in Victoria Station in London.
Is that on your way back to Italy?
Yeah.
Oh, that's the bonnet and the dolls.
This is my doll, and this is...
In the purse.
And you still have them after all these years?
Yeah. Good night.
This is 1942, this is before. Le cose sono state salvate perché la nonna ha scritto la lettera sul treno.
Lei ha scritto alla famiglia di papà che venivamo arrestate. Fu effettivamente, lei riuscì a farlo uscire dal vagone. Il bigliettino fu raccolto e fu portato a Fiume da un carabiniere. E effettivamente la cosa può essere che sia arrivato tutto molto presto, che abbiano potuto salvare tutte le cose.
So the Italian Jews that came back, they oftentimes found people occupying their houses. They oftentimes found their property had been sold or had been confiscated by the state. And there was a painful process to start to pick up the pieces and to pick up where they'd left off.
There is also the decisions and actions that were taken by the fascist regime. And this is a specific responsibility that we are working on in Italy.
They were making these comparisons whereby Italy emerged, in a far rosier light. And so I think that is also what was happening in the post-war that led Italian Jews to be a part of what propels forward the myth of the good Italian.
All of these names are people who were deported to Auschwitz.
Yes. For example, in front of this door, they took, you can see how many people. The Jewish ghetto until 1870 was this part, you see? Now this is new, but this part, the Great Synagogue, this building, which is a school, was the Jewish ghetto. This Jewish ghetto was very small. In this ghetto there were from 3,000 to 10,000 people.
Fiume, da subito finita la guerra, era diventata Jugoslavia ed c'era Tito, che era comunista, e il comunista di allora, e mamma e papà non erano di quei sentimenti politici, quindi non si sono fermati a Fiume, non volevano vivere lì più lì. E io mi ricordo una vita molto, molto serena, molto felice. D'estate si andava al mare, che era proprio vicinissimo a casa. Era una bella vita.
I was over there for a summer vacation in elementary school. I was there and I first got like a little digital camera and I was really excited about it. I was taking pictures of everything and noticed that she had her numbers tattooed on her arm. And I think I've always noticed them, but this is like having the camera and wanting to actually focus on it, created this back and forth conversation with me and her and asking where do these tattoos come from?
I think there were survivors who did tell their stories and wanted to tell their stories. There were those who tried and found that there just was no connector.
It's too easy for people to forget, to put it under the rug and say, not touch it, because they don't want to think about something that is hurtful for people. They just want to say, yeah, it happened, but not really. It wasn't that bad. It's too easy.
How well known is the Bucci sisters' story in Italy?
Of Tatiana, all the people know Tatiana and the sister.
And why is their story so important to people here?
Because they were children and they survived. Listen, from Rome, not from Italy, only from Rome, 200 children died in Auschwitz. 200. And to find after the war 2 Italian children from the north of Italy still alive was a miracle.
The survivors themselves, as we can understand, it's like when you go through a cancer surgery or something, the last thing you want is to keep yourself focused on it and keep thinking about it. You want to embrace life and what's good in life. And, most survivors did.
Non parlava molto della guerra, del campo, non è una cosa di cui parlavate
Non
molto.
parlava mai, la mamma non parlava mai del campo, non parlava mai della guerra.
That doesn't mean they didn't have ongoing trauma. Screaming, nightmares at night they couldn't control, sometimes bouts of anger, violence, and they didn't have the systems to help that we have now.
Sei il bastone della mia vecchiaia?
Sono il bastone.
Che ci teneva accanto a lei e poi questo...
What was it like walking back through Birkenau?
La prima volta che siamo tornate era appunto per il CEDEC, era maggio, era estate, faceva molto caldo. A Birkenau non era più come la Birkenau che noi avevamo vissuto e lasciato, perché c'era l'erba, c'erano i fiori, c'erano gli uccellini che cinguettavano, sembrava... era totalmente diverso un po' dalla Birkenau proprio d'inverno, è totalmente diverso la sensazione che uno prova. Quando siamo sull'autobus e che ci si sta avvicinando al campo e che una volta si parcheggiava proprio quasi davanti al cancello, lì è veramente... È molto difficile entrare dentro. A volte penso che mi piacerebbe entrare da sola per vedere se, proprio per stare da sola con I miei pensieri.
So everything from the girls being dressed the same, mistaken for twins, sequential tattoo numbers, the Blakova liking the two sisters, a mother who says, remember your name, sent to Lingfield House, restoring a stolen childhood, both parents surviving the camps, reunited as a family, and then going on to have what you all describe as a relatively normal, happy life. How?
I have no clue. I always say it's a series of little coincidences or a little act that saved my mom and my aunt. Like, for example, that my grandmother knew that by having her kiss that picture every night, she was making a difference later on in life. No, right? That she knew telling them to remember their name, right? She knew and she didn't know, right? So all this little thing that happened, having them wearing matching clothes, like you say, all these little events that happen are fate, moments of fate. Fate may happen something, right?
Che non era della nostra baracca, ma era della baracca delle donne. E poi c'era con noi Sergio.
20 kids, 10 female, 10 male.
Sergio is the hardest part of telling your story, isn't it?
So the kids came forward. They were put on a cart and they were sent to Hamburg, to another camp. I'm sorry, I always get emotional here.
When did you find out what happened to Sergio?
L'abbiamo scoperto molto tardi, la fine di Sergio e degli altri 19 bambini, molto molto tardi, nel 1983 credo, o 84 forse era.
1945, on the night of April 20, SS men murdered 20 Jewish children in the school base.
Well, there was this place where the children were taken. This doctor, one of the children, wanted to make experiments on how tuberculosis spreads. They were injected tuberculosis. They did a bunch of stuff, and then the day before the Americans freed the camp, the doctor in April, the doctor came and killed them all. The kids were he hanged them, but most of the children were so thin that they were not dying. They were not. So a soldier was going around and pulling them down.
Dare questi 20 bambini.
As I said, 20 kids died this way, and now Germany, every 20th of April, does a ceremony to remember these children.
Tomorrow we go to auditorium, the theater, to give the memory to the Tuscany school for the students. But when I speak, it's difficult for me because everything come another time, so quickly. So it's not easy to remember, because sometimes mi sento come se fossi lì.
She feels like she's back there.
Quando sono diventata un po' più grande ho capito quello che avevo visto.
We've studied these kinds of things. People have taught us the value of memories and the value of remembering these events and not taking them lightly. So we recognize the importance of what we were seeing.
1.500. Ricordatevi il vostro nome, sempre il vostro nome. È stata veramente, e non intelligente, ma di più.
Families were looking for their relatives, mostly children.
I don't want the story to die. Not the story, I'm sorry. History to die.
What I would like, and I think I saw the Bucci sisters saying this very thing, and I was just so thrilled because this is my dream. My dream is not that we get rid of sources like Wikipedia. My hope for humanity is that we learn to critically evaluate those sources.
I think, unfortunately, for whatever reason, a lot of younger people hear the word history and think boring and think of it in terms of chronology, which is not what history is. History is story.
Speaking about our experience, testifying about it, is crucial for us because we'll hope that it will be useful to the young. Our conviction is that even if one of those students has really understood, it'll be right to have given our testimony.
You started so many lives in Fiume and Birkenau and Czechoslovakia and Lingfield, back to Trieste, and now you live here in Northern California.
Tutto sommato stavo bene in Italia, ma stavo bene anche da vecchietta in Italia, se era per quello. È che un giorno mi sono svegliata e ho avuto paura di essere da sola. Ho detto, se mi succede qualcosa, se mi viene il coccolone, cosa fanno le mie ragazze che sono così lontane? Non lo so, però mi trovavo che fosse una cosa giusta diventare anche cittadina americana. Quando vivi qui ormai fai parte di questa terra, quindi per la regola trovo che fosse giusto. Sono una persona abbastanza ordinata.
Way to go! We got 1, 2, 3, 8.
I used to go around on Wednesday night, and she would complain that I was, leaving every Wednesday night and be gone for so long. And somebody said, well, just take her with us.
It's funny how you can be in a big group of people like you were in the marathon that day with your mom running, and everybody is kind of suffering, but you don't really know what the person next to you has been through or what they're all about. When you're out and about here in Elk Grove, or you're shopping, you're doing whatever, people just met your mom. Do they ever have any idea what her background is?
They wouldn't know, but most people, nah, they don't.
Non penso che vedrà.
How long will you continue these memory trips?
Già quest'anno credo che ne faremo pochi. Fin quando la mia salute me lo permetterà. I suppose you have another shoes for Birkenau.
Boots, yes.
Oh, okay.
Just gonna get you getting ready to set up.
Vuoi camminare in mezzo? Cambiamo posizione.
Cambiamo posizione. I was told to change position.
Why is that?
Who knows? I just follow orders. You see what happens when I don't follow orders?
Yeah.
When you don't follow orders?
Do you get excited when you come back to Italy because you get Italian food?
Sei contento che arrivi in Italia che c'è il mangiare italiano?
Volevano farlo andare via, poi non lo voglio più.